Welcome. I'm doing another video in Seattle, and this time we're getting away from downtown Seattle. I'm doing a video on the Lake Washington Ship Canal, which is north of downtown Seattle and runs from the Puget Sound to Lake Washington. I got the Puget Sound behind me. Now I'm not at the exact entrance of the Ship Canal. I'm at Golden Gardens Park. I'm going to explore the park for a little bit and then we'll head to the entrance of the Ship Canal. Okay, I moved on here, and this is the entrance to Lake Washington Ship Canal. There's really not a good spot to view it. There's just a small city park here in between a couple apartment buildings. Walked a little ways down the canal, and I'm almost to the Salmon Locks. This bridge in front of us is a railroad bridge. It's pretty interesting how it pivots essentially right where that white building is. I'm at the locks now, and in the mid-1800s they made several improvements to the river that was previously here, including these locks, to allow ships to go between Lake Washington and Puget Sound. Lake Washington sits about 20 feet above the Puget Sound. That's why they needed these locks here. Well, this is the larger of the two locks, and this is a view that you don't get to normally see where it's drained. I think the Army Corps of Engineers does drain it every couple of years to clean it and make minor repairs. This is a little bit different because they're actually replacing the center gates. This is only a one-level lock, meaning what you see right here is all they need to raise and lower the ships to 20 feet. The center gate exists, I think it's because when there's a small amount of ships, they'll just close that gate. They'll raise or lower the water on half of this lock. This is one of the gates on the large lock. I'm on the structure between the large and small locks here. We're looking west. I want to point out that most of this locks is public access. You can even walk on the gates when they're closed. You don't have to be on a tour to be up here. Smaller of the two locks is on the left. I did manage to catch a ship being raised. This is sped up 5 times normal speed. Next up along the waterway we have Salmon Bay. Salmon Bay is a little bit tricky because most of the shoreline is private. There's not a lot of public access. There's a lot of commercial fishing, a little bit of industrial. And if I'm not mistaken, a few of the boats in the TV show Deadliest Catch actually moor up here in the off season. I think one time I was passing through the area, I was 90% sure that I saw the Northwestern. So I'm going to explore this area a little bit more, see if I can find some more public access, and then we're on the north side right now. I might go to the south side of the bay a little bit later to see if I can find some more public access. Here's another little tiny access point at Salmon Bay. I crossed over to the south side of Salmon Bay and I'm at Fisherman's Terminal. There's a bunch of shops and restaurants here. I've moved east here, and I don't know if this is still part of Salmon Bay, but I'm in Ballard, and this is the 14th Street boat ramp. Just stopped here briefly to check out the view. Next up along the Lake Washington Ship Canal, we have the Fremont Cut. This is one of two spots where they widen the waterways to allow ships to come through. I'm going to walk along this river on the Burke-Gilman Trail for a bit. I've been walking down the Burke-Gilman Trail for a while now, and we're starting to see the Fremont Bridge, which is the blue one, and the Aurora Bridge, which is the taller one. We're almost to Lake Union now. I'm at Gasworks Park here, and I'm going to do a little panorama looking west towards the Aurora Bridge. Lake Union's going to come into view in a second. Got the Space Needle in downtown Seattle coming into view. And now Lake Union is in full view. We're looking east here, and that bridge is the Ship Canal Bridge, which carries Interstate 5. We're starting to see the Ship Canal beyond Lake Union here. We're looking at some houseboats here. The city of Seattle restricts the number of houseboats they have. Off the top of my head, I think it's between 300 or 400. And they're full houses. People live here permanently. No, this is not part of the Ship Canal, but like I said, I'm at Gasworks Park. And this used to be an oil refinery, so here's a couple shots of what's left. Alright, I've moved across Lake Union. These first two shots may actually be what's known as East Lake Union. I don't really know where the dividing line is, but I thought this was interesting because Seattle does have a lot of seaplanes. Okay, I'm officially in South Lake Union. If you look across the water way off in the distance, you'll see some grassy area. That's Gasworks Park. So I'm gonna walk around here a little bit and then we'll head out. This ship is actually a lighthouse and would travel up and down the west coast as needed. This is actually the second time I've seen a ship like this. The other one was in Norfolk, Virginia. This is a former firefighting boat from the Seattle Fire Department. I've come up to the north end of Lake Union, where the Lake Washington Ship Canal becomes the North Passage. I'm at Good Turn Park here. This is the Ship Canal Bridge, which carries Interstate 5. This is another shot of the Ship Canal Bridge from underneath the University Street Bridge. This is looking east from the University Bridge. All these buildings are on the University of Washington campus. Next up we have Portage Bay. If you have a keen eye, you may realize that this was not shot in one day. In fact, there were times it wasn't even shot in correct order. It just was, I was at the right place at the right time to film something. So it took a little bit of time to get everything organized and in the correct order. Next up on the tour we have the Montlake Cut. This is a second spot where the Corps of Engineers widened the waterway. And of course that's the Montlake Bridge. I'm at the University of Washington Botanical Gardens here, which sits on Union Bay, which is the next spot. This is still part of Union Bay, but now I'm over by Husky Stadium. The last spot on the tour of the Lake Washington Ship Canal is the Arboretum. We're almost to Lake Washington. The Arboretum contains a series of islands. This first one is Marsh Island. This is another island in the Arboretum. This one is Foster Island. This is looking east underneath State Route 520. There's a path that connects to the rest of the Arboretum here. Okay, I'm going to wrap up this tour of the Lake Washington Ship Canal here on Foster Island. We have Lake Washington behind me, so I want to thank you for coming along on this tour of the Lake Washington Ship Canal.